too political with the decisions that they render, and too unpredictable. And a little bit about myself and my background. I grew up in North Seattle, went to the University of Washington, and then on to the University of Puget Sound for law school. I then had the opportunity to move to Eastern Washington and take a legal position there, working in a private law firm doing criminal defense and general civil. It was like returning home in many ways because as a youth, obtaining my Eagle Scout badge, we spent a lot of time in Eastern Washington and in Kittitas County. We spent time there hunting and fishing and learning about farming because my father had family there. They farmed, they logged. We had the opportunity to do a little something called rodeo, and we spent a lot of time doing that in Eastern Washington as well. Half of my life has been spent on the west side of this state. Half of my life has been spent on the east side of this state. I am running because there are a large number of individuals who feel as if they don't get a fair shake in front of the Supreme Court. And I'll come back to that. About the time I was moving to Eastern Washington, I met a lovely woman, a woman I would marry, and remained married to until this July when we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. We have had 2 biological sons who I enjoy immensely. The oldest started out at the University of Montana this fall. My youngest is a junior in Ellensburg High School. We thought maybe we were done with 2 young boys, but my niece, when her parents separated, had some issues. Things weren't working so well, so we took her in, got her through high school, and unlike myself, she didn't go to the University of Washington. She went and got a master's degree at Washington State University. She's now employed in Tacoma and can start paying those bills. That's a blessing. But we kind of didn't stop there either. Because if someone had told me I would have been a soccer coach, I would have laughed at them, having never played. But when the boys started playing, we took that responsibility on. We met a young man named Chris. Didn't know at the time, but several years later, his parents would be removed from the United States under criminal immigration raids in our community. And we watched Chris bounce around from friend to friend for a little over a year and decided that was not acceptable. So we took him in. We started an action against the state, having declared as a dependent of the state of Washington, allowing us to have a legal placement, become foster parents, and then work through the federal immigration system so that currently he is a lawful resident of our country, eligible for citizenship in 2 years, and is in his 2nd year at Central Washington University. I bring that to this point because as a prosecuting attorney, it is important to hold people accountable. It's important to protect your community, and it's important to work for victims. For 22 years, I have kept victims at the highest level of commitment in our communities. I've watched my opponent, and I mean her no disrespect, but with the lack of experience on the level of a prosecutor for 22 years, I've watched her write opinions that are nonsensical, that elevate the rights of defendants above the rights of victims and communities. As a prosecuting attorney, I have represented the county on the civil side. And when you handle the cases on the civil side, you deal with state agencies. And as a president of the Prosecutors Association, and as local elected officials, we have watched, and my county has experienced, bringing cases to the court, including land use and a variety of cases that span the whole civil spectrum. And I will tell you, it is the opinion of prosecutors, local elected officials, and citizens that if you arrive in the Supreme Court and you are a city or a county or a citizen up against a state agency or an environmental group, you don't have to wait for the opinion. You already know you have lost. And it's that sense of fairness that farmers, ranchers, businessmen, people of color who I've spoken to throughout this state believe is not present. I want your support to bring fairness, neutrality, and a perspective that isn't isolated in the Puget Sound corridor to this court. Thank you.